Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to be looking at the Holiday Seasonal Scout that is going to be rerunning tomorrow alongside the story event Shine a Gentle Light, which features Holiday, Whitney, and Jasmine. Very nice story event in my opinion. Probably, I don't think it's the best, despite me liking Jasmine as much as I do. And I can't remember the one with Erika and Skyla, and I never played the one with Rose and Seabold. But I do think the Nessa's and Leon's is probably the best of this holiday stories, I think. At least of the ones that I remember, which is only 2. Anyway, I digress. So, we're going to be going ahead and looking at these sync pairs here. Not all of them, because there are 8. And if you want a good recommendation on if you should summon, no, that is my recommendation. Don't summon. Wait for a select scout, a seasonal select scout, or try and maybe pick something up on the mixed scout. I think that's far more valuable to do because the rates on these banners suck. It's 0.25% per featured sync pair for a total of 2%, but still that's not great, as well as obviously having better characters out this month, such as the Signasuit, Tapu banner units, or Pokefair units, which sadly have ended as of today, as well as the banner for the Gauntlet with Signasuit, Karina, Blue, and Emma. That's honestly a better banner, still not really worth it. I would say literally every banner is better, but if you want a most valuable banner, new champion Rosa, she's coming up in 7 days as of the time of recording this, so be sure to pick her up instead. Anyway, I digress. We'll be looking at some of the more impactful sync pairs, but when it comes to all of the sync pairs featured, we have Holiday Rosa, who is a flying support type with Delibird, Holiday Seabold, who is Tech or Striker? Tech, with Octillery. Then we go ahead and go to the next tier, which is Holiday Erika, who is a tech character. No, she's a support, sorry. She's a support character with Comfey. And then we have Holiday Skyla here, who is a tech with Togekiss. And then we go into the next tier where we have Holiday Leon, who is a Ice-type striker with Calyrex Ice Rider form. And then we have Holiday Nessa, who has Ice-Skew, another Ice-type tech character. And then last year's character is definitely the best of the Holiday characters because that's how aging works generally. Holiday Jasmine, who is an electric support character with Mega Ampharos, and Holiday Whitney, who is a normal tech character with Sawsbuck. I'm only going to really probably touch up on a few of these characters. I'll give you a little overview. Rosa's support capabilities, she's got decent enough support capabilities. Her defenses are a little low. Quite low actually, and her HP is also quite low, but she does have X attack all as well as gauge acceleration on demand, raising speed of all allies by 1, and random buffs for random stats as well, so she's a randomized raising character similar to Ball Guy. And then in her grid, she's got a couple things such as Hail Rally, 20% chance to raise crit and Hail, which is not great. Stoic 4, potential chance to raise her defense, not great either. Team Speedy Entry 1, giving all allies speed buffs. Pretty solid ability, but this is only an entry. Cold Front, causing a hailstorm when she enters a battle. That's also actually relatively useful, but again, nothing super impactful. Mad Strength Aerial Ace is not good. Shared Fortune 2 on all the presents, raising one of the stats by random. This is a good ability to combine with her other randomized raised type of ability here, and I'd say that's pretty much it. It's all that's really impactful for her. Attack buffs, gauge acceleration, guaranteed speed buffs, as well as then random buffs across the board. So there you go. She can also restore HP when in Hail and is a lot of different Hail-based effects. Holiday Seabold, I barely looked at this guy all that much, but he is a tech nuker water-type character with Octazooka and Scald. 50% chance to debuff accuracy with Octazooka, 104 power, 3-gauge move with Scald, which has a 30% chance to burn. He's able to raise his special defense, and special attack. And when it comes to his passives, he's got Hostile Environment 1 for a 60% burn chance, Fortuitous 4 to randomly raise one of his stats, and Piercing Gaze so he doesn't miss. Tech innate multiplier of having burn. And then you're looking at his multipliers, he's got Rising Tide and Critical Strike 3, as well as the Sync nodes. Not the worst in terms of nuking multipliers, but his biggest drawback is that his special attack is horribly low, so the nuke is not going to be that impressive, but it could be worse for a character that is going on 4 years old. Actually, I think he is 4 years old at this point. Pretty insane, right? And then other stuff such as Dizzying Power, which requires accuracy debuffs for more damage on Scald and Octazooka, not really worth going for. Burns Energy, that's probably worth going for, and again, Critical Strike 3 as well. Then you've also got other stuff such as Scorcher 2, which increases burn damage, Focus Rush for more crit buffs after using the Sync move, not worth it either. But yeah, you got the pretty much the gist there. Once accuracy debuffs, once burn, he's got crit stuff, he's got obviously Rising Tide. Got a pretty solid, not solid, but decent enough nuke, I guess. Going on to Holiday Erika, this character was replaced pretty much instantly with Sycamore, normal Sycamore, and Xerneas on release. She's got extra gen all for regeneration, lay up, which restores ally HP by 40% of the maximum, and then returns lowered stats to normal and raises defense of all allies by 1, which is actually quite a solid ability, but it's only 1 use and pretty iffy other than that. Healing Hand, 30% chance to remove status conditions from allies. Stamina Reserve 6, restoring gauge when in a pinch. Quick Cure to remove status changes. Just those type of abilities. And in the grid, Tighten Up 4, Healing Hand 2, Safety Tether. Pretty much nothing impactful at all. HP Advantage, which is for damage. Mad Strength for attack buffs. And then she got other healing abilities here. That's pretty much it. She's literally just a lot of healing for herself, a bit of healing for allies, and that's pretty much it. Then Shared Fortune, I guess, on layup, which raises a random stat. Yeah, she's honestly pretty bad. Probably worse than Seabold and Rosa, which is pretty upsetting, honestly. I do like the outfit and whatnot. Holiday Skyla, who is still relatively decent to this day, has definitely a better special attack than Seabold. Not immensely better, but still better. It does require, obviously, level 140. There we go. She does have some moves such as Tri-Attack, which has a random chance of inflicting a status condition, which does power up her innate nuke multiplier. Gift of Joy raises her speed and crit, as well as a random stat for all allies. She can also buff Special Attack. Air Slash with a 30% flinch chance, which is powered up by Super Interference, so you've got yourself the extra chance to apply status changes and apply status conditions as well. So, pretty good there. She's got flinches, she's got an increased chance for burn, paralysis, and freeze. Then she's also got Foul Fighting 5, which increases damage against enemies who are flinch, confused, or trapped. I do not like that when it's impacted by flinch, because obviously flinch is going to wear out, so you don't really have much time to make abuse of it. Sadly, she does not set trap or anything else like that, which is quite annoying. Going into her grid, she's got Rising Tide for innate nuke, Ramming Speed for innate damage, Dirty Fighting 3 again, same problem as the innate multiplier of Foul Fighting 5. Or sorry, Dirty Fighting is for status conditions actually, so yeah, Dirty Fighting is actually not too bad. But you do have to, of course, have a status condition, which is random. Sharp Entry for more crit luck. Team Lucky Entry 1, randomly raising one of the stats of all allies by 1 stat rank. And then Speedy Entry 1, raising her own speed. Flinch Hitter, powering up moves against flinching opponents. Again, same problem as Foul Fighting 5. So, not a big thing there. Biggest thing is that she's got a decent nuke with Rising Tide, plus her innate multiplier, similar to Seabold, right? And then, of course, she's also got increased chances for flinching at a 60% chance, and, damage whenever enemies are afflicted by burn, poison, paralysis. Burn, breeze, paralysis. Moving on to next year, we had Holiday Leon, who is probably one of the more notable ones now, even though he is about 2 years old at this point. Pretty sure he is 2 years old. He's got himself a lot of attack here, 542, 500 without the EX. Glacial Lance was a 4-gauge all-enemy targeting move with 192 power. Very strong move. Dire Hit plus XP plus in champion gift raising attack and defense. He gets extra physical moves next every time his trainer uses a move, which is why he has so many trainer moves. He also gives himself Cold Snap 2, which has a 30% chance to leave the enemy frozen when targeting an opponent, which, since Glacial Lance is AoE, it is a 30% chance to freeze all enemies, similar to, any character that could do a 30% flinch chance or whatever else, right? Victory Flex 2 raises the user's attack by 2 when knocking out an opponent with a move, so you don't have to rely too much on champion gift to be able to max your attack, which is very nice. Then going into the grid, you have to rely on ramming speed on Glacial Lance for extra power, which is not bad at all. Then other than that, it's kind of iffy because he's got stuff like Freezer Burn, as well as, Freeze Synergy 2, which does require freeze, which is both inconsistent as well as hard to proc. So relying on these multipliers does suck. Thankfully, you don't have to, though, because he does have other stuff such as Heavy Hail 5 and Heavy Hail 2 for sync power-up stuff, as well as the sync nodes. There's some other stuff, too, such as Mighty Rush and Super Victory, but I'd say those are the most impactful nodes for him. He's mostly used as a DPS unit. I probably would never nuke with him. I would just recommend going full Glacial Lance spam and try and get some good power, because the attack stat is still very good to this day, 100%. Nessa, she is very weird. Holiday Nessa is very weird. She's got an ability with Ice Face that basically makes it so she can ignore damage from any physical attacking move when she has the ice block on her head. But then obviously it'll fade after that, but then she uses Hail and it restores the ice face. So if you are attacking a physical attacking enemy, then maybe you can use Nessa as a pretty consistent tank. She's also got decent enough bulk stats, I guess. If you 6-star EX her and whatnot, she can take a couple hits, especially with a pretty high HP stat. So there's that. She's got Hail as prior mentioned for setting Hail, as well as Hail NPR4 rather, for 50% chance to restore Hail MP, so she's very consistent on being able to set Hail, which is quite nice. Icicle Crash for pretty good damage, as well as a 30% flinch chance, and Aggravation in the Grid for that for extra 30% flinch chance on top of it for a 60% total chance. Ramming Speed, Invigorating Hail, Ice Plow 3, as well as some other stuff in order to actually power up her Icicle Crash off of her 414 attack stat, making her Icicle Crash actually hit for quite a lot of damage. And sadly, her nuke sucks because it's only increased when in Hail, and she has the sync nodes. That's literally it. I don't know why they opted to not give her higher stats than that, but they didn't. So yeah, I wouldn't really worry about it too much, but it's fine, but still whatever. Then she's got a trainer move here, which raises her attack by 2, crit by 1, and applies gradual healing to all allies in Hail. And that's mostly it. She's mostly a Hail setter with pretty solid Icicle Crash damage with a 30% chance to flinch, and she can potentially protect herself from damage with Ice Face, as well as potentially some other things such as Snow Powder, Hostile Environment, Team Fierce, Infliction 4 on Hail, that type of stuff. I did go over a lot of these ice units yesterday, all of them actually, other than Eggmons, so if you actually want to look a little bit, probably not more detailed, but the placement of Holiday Nessa and Leon relative to other ice-type attackers, or characters in general, go look at the video I posted yesterday. You can get yourself a little overview on them. Going on to this year's units, where I'm not going to start rushing. I don't know how long this video is already, but Holiday Jasmine, she is definitely the most, probably the strongest of all of the Holiday units in general. Not strongest, but the best. She is a support character with Ampharos that can Mega Evolve, gaining some very high defensive stats. She is very strong defensively, 100% with her HP as well. Definitely very bulky. She's got a lot of defensive abilities such as Potions and her Trainer move, which raises defense and special defense of an ally by 3, and applies gradual healing, and applies endurance. Being able to apply on-demand endurance is very, very useful, mostly for being able to take attacks that you wouldn't otherwise be able to, and potentially being able to win a battle that way. I have seen a lot of funny videos where people do endurance spam that enables their attacker who has maybe like power reserves or something to get really strong and, just destroy the enemy, which is pretty funny to see, right? And again, Potions for healing, super effective next to apply super effective next. It's kind of in the name. Very, very useful ability for sure. Obviously helps out universal all characters. Universally helps out everyone. Endurance for herself on entry as a passive skill, and full bracing command 9, raising her own defenses when the trainer uses a move, meaning your abilities are meant to be more focused on allies, not Jasmine herself, which is very useful. And then team critical command, raising the crit of all allies when the trainer uses a move, so you're able to buff defenses, apply gradual healing, apply endurance, healing with potion, super effective next, and crit buffs to the whole team, which is very, very useful as a base kit ability. Meaning she's got a lot of good defensive utility, but her grid definitely helps out a lot more with people who are looking for more offensive abilities. I'll just jump to it. Her best offensive abilities are Clever Friend and Mighty Friend 9 on her trainer move, which apply physical moves next and special moves next, respectfully to... Is that what it is? Yeah. Whatever. To an ally, so you can pick up whichever one you want. If you have a physical attacker, pick up Mighty Friend. If you have a special attacker, pick up Clever Friend, and you'll be able to apply a lot of good extra damage to your ally, as well as apply all of the defensive utility, which is nice. Team Fierce Entry 1 and Great Entry 1, if you want to do a little bit of special attack or physical attack topping off, you can do that as well. Trainer with NPR for you can, get more special moves next and physical moves next spam, which sadly it will not apply as if the ally has already gotten all of these effects. So if an ally already has endurance, healing, and max special defense and physical defense, sadly this ability will not function. It will just fail. So that is a little bit annoying there, so keep that in mind. But it can still be useful if they, lower your stats by any amount. Turbocharge 2, Static Cling 9, she's able to leave an enemy paralyzed when hit by an attacking move. Team Shout 4 to randomly raise attack, special attack, or both when hit by an attacking move. Very good for short, longer battles, so you don't have to rely too much on characters being able to buff their own stats. Shock Recovery, being able to restore HP in an electric terrain, not bad either. Potion NPR and Master Healer and stuff. very nice as well. Adrenaline for sync countdown is also very nice. And Catalyst for gauge acceleration, which is the only problem I have with this character, is that she's not slow, but she doesn't apply any speed buffs. So Catalyst definitely helps out with that a ton, which is very, very nice. So being able to do that is awesome, and doing all these other abilities. Very defensive, pretty offensive, super effective next potions. She does everything except apply like a terrain or a zone effect. That's basically it. Very good character. I would know. I've used her. I'll probably upload a video maybe tomorrow or the day after where I do a little review of Jasmine, you know, maybe a year later or something like that, because I do have Jasmine at 3 out of 5 in DX, and you can trust my word that she is still quite useful. Going on to Holiday Whitney, probably one of the most unique characters in the game, where her main ability is that she's able to set grassy terrain, psychic terrain, and electric terrain all together. Not all together because they would fail, but individually you can choose which one she can set, which is very, very fun. So going to that ability, she's got her trainer move, which applies critical hit defense, applies gauge acceleration to the eye field of play, and its 2 uses, which is very useful. Turns the field of play into grassy terrain if MP for move gauge boost is at 2. So if you have 2 MP on move gauge boost, this will apply grassy terrain. It will apply psychic terrain if the MP is at 1. So if you're at 1 out of 2 uses, it'll apply psychic terrain. And then electric terrain if the move gauge boost is at 0 MP. So if there's 0 uses left on it, you can then apply electric terrain. So it's completely dependent on how much move gauge boost you have left, and once you have it at 2, 0, 1, whichever, you can select or use whichever terrain you want to, which is very nice. And not only are you selecting those terrains, you are also getting critical hit defense and gauge acceleration, which is quite nice. She's also got Headbutt for a 30% flinch chance, which is just nice in general. Move Gauge Boost, which is mostly used for her trainer move, but it can also, of course, be used to restore gauges, which is quite nice. And then Horn Leech for healing mostly, but you can use it for damage, because she does have a pretty decent attack stat of 404. EXR for even higher, not bad. It's definitely one of the characters that are least affected by being a normal type, I would say. Then going to her skill, she has Team Verdant Defense Drain 9, which raises allies' defense and lowers enemy defense when in grassy terrain. So a lot of your physical grass units are going to benefit a lot, which we have a lot of those. Obviously, Sickness to Erika, Adaman, Normal Brendan's Nuke is physical, which is very nice as well. Obviously, you got Mallow. There's a ton of grass characters that are physical and would benefit a lot from this, which is nice. Team Weird Special Defense Drain 9, which raises ally special defense and lowers enemy special defense when attacking an enemy that is in psychic terrain. Very, very useful as well. Also, by the way, you can give her Defense Crush 2 or Mind Games 2 as a lucky skill, which I definitely recommend if you want to make full use of these abilities as well. You can do a lot of debuffing with her, which is quite useful. And then Team Charge Speed Drain 9, which raises ally speed and lowers enemy speed when in electric terrain. So different debuffs depending on which terrain she is in, and they're all very useful for their respective characters. Except maybe speed, but speed buffs for allies is already pretty good, so the debuffs for speed is not the worst thing in the world. But then looking at her grid, honestly, I wouldn't say her grid's really too worth looking at. I would say it's honestly just, I would say the character's fine the way she is. She does so much as it is, but she does get a decent bit of stuff. Aggravation on Headbutt for a 60% total flinch chance is nice. Terrain sync up and interference sync up, meaning she's actually got quite a good nuke, plus the innate multiplier when a terrain is activated. This is very good, especially with Palmer in the normal zone. Whitney actually has quite a strong nuke now, which is pretty damn good, and very easy to set up, no less. Mad Strength 9, being able to buff her own attack. This is mostly just for self-sufficiency, because obviously she doesn't have any method of buffing crit, attack, or anything like that in her base abilities. So this is just for being self-sufficient in that front. Team Charge Slow-Mo 9, lowering enemy speed when attacking an enemy in electric terrain. Probably the same abilities for the other things. Mind Boggler, lowering special defense when attacking an opponent that is flinched, confused, or trapped. Not bad. And then Empowering Overgrowth 3 powers up the user's moves when in grassy terrain, mostly for Horn Leech, so you can actually get some pretty good Horn Leech damage, which is very nice there. Flabbergast 4 for leaving an enemy confused. Precognition, Turbo Turf, Verdant Recovery, Weird Recovery, those type of things. Pretty normal. Move Gauge Boost Pep Rally for ally speed buffs, also very, very nice if you don't want to have to go too electric terrain in order to buff ally speed. But again, do remember the MP for move gauge boost is required to set whichever specific terrain you want, so be careful when using this. And then Sync Burst 1, restoring MP to moves. Very good for restoring MP to her trainer move, but do be careful. You have to worry about the move gauge boost potentially restoring too much MP or something like that. So overall, I would say she doesn't need a grid, but her grid is definitely good for her self-sufficiency, extra flinch chances, great nuke, especially in a normal zone, as well as some other utility-based abilities that don't really impact everything else too much, but it's still really nice to have, I suppose. So yeah, Holiday Whitney, Holiday Jasmine, definitely the best characters to pick up if you do plan to pick them up. Obviously, I would only recommend doing the seasonal select scouts that normally return during anniversary months, and potentially maybe just do the tiered scout if you want to. It's 10,000 paid gems. I wouldn't say it's really worth it with the seasonal select scouts being available in the future, as well as having the mix out right now. I would say the gems are better spent elsewhere, but if you do feel like really picking up one of these characters, tiered scout's definitely your best value, because you will almost guarantee have to go to pity in order to be able to pick up whoever you want otherwise, right? Because the rates are so low. Like if you wanted Holiday Erika for whatever reason, I would recommend doing the tiered scout. Normal banner sucks, but overall I'd probably just recommend going for a seasonal select scout. Probably don't summon on this banner, but again, if you do, tiered scout's the best way to go overall. 10,000 paid gems is pretty pricey though, so be kind of careful on that front. And of course, maybe, you know, ration however you want your money. It's obviously yours. I would say Holiday Jasmine and Whitney are probably the best characters. I would say Leon is definitely still pretty usable. I would say the Nessa, Skyla, maybe even Rosa and Seabold are still pretty usable to some extent. I wouldn't say they're all like immensely powerful characters, but of course you can still find decent uses for them if you do like the characters. I've used Holiday Skyla despite her age because I like Skyla, and I've got pretty good uses from her with other characters like Anniversary Skyla, as well as just facing flying type weak stages. She'll do fine, right? A lot of these characters are still going to be doing fine versus the, you know, weaker end content or specific stages where you can kind of juice them up. But of course, obviously, a lot of these other characters are a lot less reliant on others in order to, you know, put in peak performance, especially in Whitney and Jasmine's case, when their biggest deals as characters is to actually support others or empower others and not really themselves. Anyway, I digress. Let me know if you're going to be summoning for the Super Spotlight Seasonal Scout down in the comments below. Be careful. I wouldn't recommend summoning. It's just the whole thing. But yeah, I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoyed.